There's a lot that goes into great audio production, and fortunately, it doesn't take a ton of IQ to understand the basics of EQ. So let's dive into the wonderful world of parametric equalizers. This is something that can get pretty advanced. I'm definitely not claiming to know everything about it. If you've edited in advanced audio editing applications before, like Logic or Audition, a lot of this might look pretty familiar, but it is something that can really help your audio sound a lot better if you found yourself in Final Cut, you're editing, and you're just not quite happy with what your audio sounds like. You can use a parametric equalizer to either emphasize, de-emphasize, or totally remove unpleasant frequencies. So for now, we'll just be working with this clip right here, but just to show you how I think that this actually sounds fine, which is why I didn't use a parametric EQ when we were putting it together. But let's pretend that I do want to use that. What I'm going to do is scroll down in my effects to Audio Effects, click on EQ, and then drag over Channel EQ. And now if I go up into the Audio Inspector, I can scroll down, see Channel EQ, and if I click on this little mixer icon, it will bring up the Parametric Equalizer. Some of the things it lets you do are low and high pass filters. Adding in things like that can be really helpful if you have low or high rumbling noises or whining noises just in your environment. Like say there's an air conditioner or a vent blowing. So if we play this is what the audio sounds like. Feature of this, but just to show you how I use the Motion VFX M-Track. And now if I click this, we're going to start taking out some of the lows. I can drag this over. You can do the same thing with your highs over here. We can kind of like tame some of the highs a little bit. Really, really cool. But the reason I use this extra, we're not noticing a huge difference because the microphone I'm using is pretty decent. So what we can do is go into all these other frequencies and start getting really specific. So basically in every one of them, you can raise or lower them, and you can also increase the width. So how much of your band is it affecting? What I like to do is make these as narrow as possible to start on each of the frequencies. And you might not necessarily need to use each one of these. This is generally something you don't want to just come in and start playing around with. It's usually something you'll start doing if you notice there is a specific sound or quality of your audio that you're not liking and you want to try to fix it. And basically what you do is just play back your audio and then drag this around until you start finding a frequency in this area that sounds really unpleasant. We'll see if we see any in here. But just to show you how I use the Motion VFX M-Tracker 3D to create my video intros, Final Cut Pro does now have, there actually is one, that weird sound. It's probably reverb from the desk or something bouncing into the microphone. 3D to create my video. That's pretty unpleasant. So now that we found that, what we can do is actually take it down. I probably don't want to take it down all the way. Just to show you how I use the Motion VFX M-Tracker 3D to create my video intros, Final Cut Pro does now have its own built-in tracker, which is really, really cool. So now I've kind of taken out that frequency. And then obviously if we're going more towards the highs, we're looking at higher frequencies. And instead of the free built-in tracker with Final Cut is because it is significantly more fully featured and has a lot more flexibility. The Final Cut Pro one can be excellent, and I'm sure it's only gonna... So I'm removing that frequency and then expanding this just to be a little bit wider. It continue to get better over time, but this has been around for a number of years already, so it's pretty fully developed. To show you how I use the Motion VFX M-Tracker 3D to create my video intros, Final Cut Pro does now have its own built-in tracker, which is really, really cool. But the reason I use this, and so it's important to remember that in this case, I'm using a good microphone. I like the way that it sounds. I didn't really need to remove any frequencies, even though there were some unpleasant ones there. It didn't change the overall sound too much. This is the edited version. Use the Motion VFX M-Tracker 3D to create my... This is the original version. My video intros. Final Cut Pro does now have its own built-in tracker, which is really, really cool. But this can really save the day, especially if you're not using the best equipment in the world or you're not recording in the best environment for whatever you're working on. So hopefully this helps increase your IQ about EQ just a little bit. Thank you so much to everyone who helps support my channel through Patreon and YouTube channel memberships. And if you like this video, check out my video editing course, Rough Cut to Final Cut, where I share literally everything I know about editing in Final Cut Pro.